Hi, welcome back to our channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about our maize farm that we did on our farm. It's an investment maize farm. So and I'll be talking about the process of doing maize farming and how we went, what the things that we went through, to get to where we are now. So as so you can see on the video, this is how we started. We cleared the land, and then we used that machine that they are using now to plant the corn. I know there is better machines in the system, but we are gradually working towards that. Because due to the high rises of the cost of maize and feed for poultry and other animal farming, people have to find ways of making their own feed or something, or do something beside poultry farming and pig farming, because basically you have to do something to make money too on the side of those. Otherwise it's getting difficult to survive in those industries. So as you can see, the process of planting this corn, the first thing is to clear the land. Once you clear the land, then what we did is we spray the land with the weedicide, because that if you are doing investment farming, you have to do those things, because you don't want things that will come back later to haunt you. So we have to spray the land to make sure all the weeds will be suppressed. So there are some places that we realize that we don't need to spray, but we had to spray after we planted. And then we saw that the weeds are coming. So those are the steps. You can either spray once you clear the land, spray before you plant, or plant, then after that you spray selective weedicide. Once the plant is about, let's say, 2 weeks old, if you see that there's grasses in there, you can spray the selective weedicide to suppress the growth of the weeds so that your corn will grow. And one other thing that we did was whenever we were planting, with that machine that you saw that people were pushing, it has a room for the corn, the seed to be, and another room for fertilizer. So we planted at the same time with the NPK fertilizer in there. So there's some settings on those machines that you can do to make sure that the fertilizer setting, the fertilizer quantity that you want, will be released. But the downside to that machine is whenever the land is really wet, what happens is some of the sand will get stuck inside the planter, where the planter releases the seeds or the fertilizer. So you have to constantly be checking, to make sure that your seeds are being planted or the fertilizers are being released into the ground. So those are some troubles that we went through. So after whenever the maize started germinating, what we realized was there was some spot that we mixed, because those times I think the machine was clogged and we didn't see. So somebody has to go back and plant some spot in between where we mixed. But the downside to those things is that whenever you were doing that, if you are planting manually, and also you cannot apply fertilizer at the same time, because sometimes it's tedious. So it's better to use this kind of machine with the fertilizer in there, plant at the same time, and it makes your work easy. And also it cut down the labor cost, because otherwise you have to go and pay the planters, go find people to come and apply the fertilizer, and also pay them again. So as you can see, the machine actually plants in line. We have to use rope to line to kind of make everything straight. If the distance is not too far, you can actually just eyeball it and just roll. But when the distance is too far, you will miss and maybe have some curves. Even with the rope, we have some curves. The places was not straight, but the planter will plant in straight line for you whichever way you go. So that's why one thing too that we realized. So once you plant, and you spray, you have to watch the crops really, really well, because there's these worms, army worms. After, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks, you have to observe your crop very, very well, because what happened was they started attacking the the corn in some major places. So we have to go and buy insecticide like a armyworm spray, you know. And we didn't even know that though in those places, like the armyworm spray, they have different types of it in the market. There are some that are specific and the others that are just broad range. So at first we bought some, we used it, you know, it worked, but we ran out of those ones. So we went to buy different types, and then that one was a broad spectrum one. So it kind of worked, but it didn't really work. So as the corn was going up, we saw that, oh, you know, the treatment for the armyworm was not done really well. So we have to go back and buy a specific armyworm treatment for it and spray. So those are the things that you probably have to learn if you have to do maize farming. And if you're going to buy armyworm spray, just ask them to buy, to give you the one that is specific to just armyworm, not the broad spectrum one. Yeah. And also, one thing too that we did was, even though we planted with the fertilizer, you know, the NPK, we have also been spraying at least maybe every 2 weeks. We've been spraying with the liquid fertilizer. Some of them are organic liquid fertilizers, some of them are inorganic liquid fertilizers, because those things, they boost the growth of the plant, you know, because NPK fertilizer has become so expensive that if you have to depend on that one alone, you know, your budget for your farming will not match up at all. By the time you harvest and you have to sell, you will be losing. So we have to use liquid fertilizer. But the downside to that one too is that you have to be spraying at least about 3 to 4 times, you know, and we don't have the automatic sprayers. That's something that we can just use. Like some people have drones that they use to spray. We are kind of considering getting one of those, but they're expensive, but we will still work towards them in the future. You know? And as the crops were growing, one thing too that we realized was the rain. You know, even though we needed a rain to help us plant, to help the plant to grow, but one thing that happened was too much of the rain was washing away all the nutrients in the soil, and even the fertilizer that we have applied to it. So as you can see, we made gutters in our land, but inside the gutters and around the gutters, most of the nutrients were taken away by the water. So those places, some places turn yellow around those edges, even though we apply NPK there, and also we've been spraying with the liquid fertilizer. But you know, those are some of the things that we learn as we go. So in the future, if you have to plant again, maybe on the edges, maybe we have to double the fertilizer that we put there, or just make deeper gutters, you know, so that the rain can just easily flow through them and go. And then one thing too that I realized was, whenever we are preparing the land, you know, we use harrow in most of the places. You know, so one day is like, if you don't harrow the land to make it flat, when it rains too much, the water will be sitting in the crop, like it will be sitting around the maize, and where the water are sitting, nothing grows over there that much. You know, you will see that those places too will turn yellow. So that's another thing too that we learn. You know, but in all, you know, we've seen the corn doing very, very well so far, and we are still watching every day. You know, so corn is not just about planting it and going to sit somewhere. It needs maintenance. You know, you have to keep working in there. You have to keep spraying weedicide, because once the corn is growing, the weeds, they will also come up again. They will start to grow. Even though you spray the first time, some places will start to grow. So those places you have to go back and get some weedicide to be spraying there, because otherwise the weeds will be fighting with the nutrients in the soil for your corn. Yeah, so we have constantly been doing that. Even today, we have to spray some organic fertilizer, the liquid one, because some places that we have, it's been fighting with the weeds. So we have to spray the weedicide and go back again and spray the liquid fertilizer at those places. So if anybody is trying to go into maize farming, it's not just simple like you just plant it, then you watch it. No, you have to keep going back. And also, one advice to people is, and especially in Ghana, I don't know about the other part of Africa, but we don't utilize our land really, really well. And whenever we are planting, because you see people plant 1 acre of corn, and then the spacing is too wide. So at the end of the day, once they harvest, they don't get enough. We just waste the land. So one thing that we learned was, we have to plant according to the instructions on the maize that we buy. So that's exactly what we did. So the maize, the one that we bought, has instruction on it for us to plant 25 by 75 centimeters. So we did plant a 25 by 75 centimeters. Then once we did the calculation, at least on every acre we were supposed to have about, if we are planting 1 corn at a time, 1 corn per hole, we will have about a minimum 19,000 to about 20,000 maize on 1 acre of land, which is pretty good. I know there are some people who have been able to go further to about 22,000 to 23,000 of maize per acre. It's possible. One thing that I realized is if you can get enough fertilizer or manure in the land, you can get those things as close as possible and just space them out really well with lines in between the maize, so that you can walk through to spray. So in that case, instead of 25 centimeters by 75, you can reduce the 25 to maybe 15 centimeters if you have enough in good manure and fertilizer to do so. It's possible to do that. Because I watched one video from some people, and they are doing it. And like I said, we have to learn every day. If you do something today and the next time you realize that, wow, we could have done this better, you don't just throw it away. You have to apply the next time. We have to do research as we go. And that's one thing that Africans are very, very bad about. We will continuously doing the exact same thing, but we try to expect different results, and we'll be like, oh, this is how our forefathers were doing it, so we have to do it the exact same way. Even though if that thing is not bringing you any income, or the profit that you are looking for, you can't continuously be doing the exact same thing. But people are doing that over here. Even if you talk to them, they will tell you that no, and then they will just walk away. So maybe some people who are willing to learn, sometimes you just have to do your own thing. Once they come and see what you are doing, they will learn, and then they will change their ways. Then later on, you will see them coming closer to you to ask up questions about how you did it. We have experienced the exact same thing. People were hesitant at first, but now they'll be coming and they'll be asking us, what are we doing to succeed in some places that we are doing our things. So if we all learn those things, like if you want to do poultry farming, you always have to be learning. If you want to be doing corn farming or whatever kind of farming or whatever business that you are doing, you have to constantly be learning about it, and improving. For this video, I'll probably be doing a video about pig farming, talking on a similar thing, because there are some breeds of those in the system too that always, they are not growing fast, but because people are used to them, they just want to keep them for whatever reason, I don't know. So let's get back to this maize thing. So for the maize farm, one lesson, let me recap again. You have to make sure that if the place that you are, it rains a lot, you make good gutters for drainage. Otherwise they will mess you up really bad on the edges of your farm. It doesn't matter if you apply fertilizers. They will still take all the nutrients away and wash them away with them. And also be careful of the army worms, because they are very, very, very stubborn. And once they attack your crop, they will just keep going unless you get a very, very good army worm spray to spray them to kind of get rid of all of them. And one thing that I want to talk about that maybe, man, sometimes it's very, very difficult to talk about, is labor. Getting labor in Africa, especially Ghana. People are always saying that there's no jobs and there's nothing to do. But once you give people a job to do, you have to be around to watch them. Otherwise, you come back and then your job is sitting there, or they have done a whole new thing. We have been experiencing that a lot nowadays. We even give spray to people to spray. And then they will go and sit down and dump the spray away and come back and tell us that they finished spraying. So by the time we go around and start looking and digging into it, you will see that the places that they said they sprayed, nothing, the results that we are looking for is not happening. People are just wicked. I don't know. But we have seen this happen on our farm. We gave it to some people to spray, then they just wasted it. So if you can find time, if you want to do any kind of farming, I'm not saying that just go and buy all the machines that you need, because in several cases, if you do so, you spend all your money on equipment that you might work or might not work in your area. But you have to gradually work on eliminating people, because otherwise you invest your money and you will not be getting it back because of people misusing your good intention for them, and also you trying to provide job for them, then they will be trying to waste your money. That part, I don't even know how many times we can talk about this, because sometimes I even regret getting anybody at all on the farm. Like, if we can get machines to do things that we need to do, even though they might be expensive, but we will get further ahead and we will save a lot of money, on several things that we wasted money on. Even after you get the labor, and then they will charge you while they are doing the job, they will come back and tell you that no, we didn't charge you right. Because at that time, they have realized that if they don't do what they are doing, you will lose. So they will try to squeeze your hands to get anything out of you that they can get. So this is our corn project, and thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We will get back with more information and more videos about the corn farm. Thank you.